Welcome to 2016 presidential candidate interviews. Today I'm interviewing David Lillard. He is running as a Republican. Hello, Mr. Lillard, and welcome to the interview.
Lee, it's good to talk to you.
Well, it's good to be here. Thank you for participating. Let's give the listeners a chance to get to know you and ask you some icebreaker questions.
Okay.
Describe your family.
I am the youngest of 5 children. 3 of us are now surviving. My father was a Pentecostal pastor for almost 70 years before he passed away. Very strict upbringing, but a very good life. I'm not sure how far you want to go into that, but I had a good childhood.
Okay.
Very supportive parents, and life was good.
Okay. Do you want to go into anything currently with your family?
My brother is a pastor in Austin, Texas. My sister is in Oklahoma. And my mother, who just turned 91 this past June, is with me here in the great metropolis of Denton.
Okay.
And we try to get together as often as we can.
All right. Next question. Describe your employment and your work experience.
I've been blessed to have had a wide variety of careers. The highlights would be police officer, made it to the rank of patrol supervisor, sergeant. I was also a volunteer firefighter and EMT for 5 years. I worked in the private security industry. I was a country music entertainer for off and on for almost 35 years, an award-winning singer and songwriter. And I drove different types of trucks for a while and even worked as a school teacher for a period of time. I've owned 3 successful businesses in my lifetime, and right now I'm enjoying a little bit of an early retirement.
What are your hobbies and interests?
I'm a huge history buff. I love American history, especially the times around the Civil War and World War II. I like to golf when I can. It's been a while. Music has always been a huge part of my life, so anytime I get a chance to sit around and play with some of my friends, that's always a welcome opportunity. And I'm an avid reader.
Okay. Do you have a favorite restaurant to eat out?
I would have to say Saltgrass Steakhouse. I love the prime rib.
Okay. Do you have a favorite fast food joint?
Chick-fil-A.
Favorite junk food you wouldn't let anybody let you watch eat?
My favorite junk food. Well, I'm diabetic now, so I can't really have my favorite junk food, but it used to be double fudge chocolate ice cream.
Well, when I have that, I'll be sure to have some for you.
I appreciate that.
Next question. Your favorite TV shows and movies?
I'm a sucker for the history channels. I also like a good mystery program like a Person of Interest or NCIS. Those are a couple of my favorites. Movies, I like a good comedy, good drama. I also like what most men would categorize as quote-unquote chick flicks. My all-time favorite would be The Notebook and Hope Floats.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, I do. I have a little 7-year-old Chihuahua mix. His name is Chico. I rescued him from a family that was abusing him. And my mother lives with me, and she has a 24-year-old poodle named Lucky.
And the final getting-to-know-you question, just name a song that would be maybe like a life anthem, a life motto, something that describes you, represents you.
I would have to say Eye of the Tiger.
Okay. And
simply because I've been down several times, and it was just my faith and my sheer will to survive that kept me going.
Alrighty, and now for the substantive questions. The
Okay.
first one, why are you running for president?
Lee, our country is in serious turmoil. We have politicians who have a personal and political goal that they want to reach no matter what it costs the American public. We need a president who will use common sense to take care of these problems, one who doesn't have a personal or political goal. His goal is the betterment of the nation and the improvement of the country to a point where everybody has their fair share chance to make it. What I'm seeing in Washington are politicians who are self-centered, do not communicate with the people back home, vote their conscience rather than what the people want. This government is supposed to be run of the people, by the people, and for the people, and that's why I'm running. We need someone in the White House who will use common sense, who will look at the situation and not jump to a rash decision. If you do what's right for the country, do what's right for the people of America rather than yourself, history will take care of the man or woman in the White House. We need someone who will look at this nation and go by the Constitution, go by our laws, and will adhere to these things. And I believe I'm the man that can go in there and make a difference for the entire country and bring us back to that point where Ronald Reagan called us the shining city on the hill.
What abilities do you bring to the office of president?
Again, please.
What abilities do you bring to the office of president?
Common sense is the main thing I'll bring to the White House. The ability to look at a problem under pressure, look at the options that are available, and make a decision that is going to be good for everyone and not just a particular political party or a particular agenda. That's what I bring to the White House, the ability to look at a situation and get the best possible information about it and then make a decision, not jump off into a frenzy just to do something.
Are there any presidents you have a positive opinion of who have things you would like to emulate?
Oh, yes. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Ronald Reagan are the three that come to mind first. George Washington, because he was the first. He set the standard for every president to follow him, and he set the bar very high. Abraham Lincoln, what president went through the turmoil that Lincoln went through and was able to bind the country back together again? And Ronald Reagan, because of his communicative skills, his common sense, his ability to one moment be the commander-in-chief and the next moment be the comforter-in-chief. I admire those three presidents more than the rest of them.
Are there any presidents you have a less than favorable opinion of who have aspects of their presidencies you would not want to emulate?
Yeah, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama. Jimmy Carter was indecisive in just about everything he did. He seemed to be completely out of his league. Clinton, because of his dishonesty and his problems with morality. And Barack Obama, the list is too long to do in a short interview. He just basically has torn our country apart, trying to do things to make himself look good, to make his party look good, and to take us to a socialistic type of government rather than the democratic government that our forefathers set up.
Are there any functions of government you'd like to decrease or even abolish?
I'd like to go across the board with the federal government and decrease it 4% a year for the entire term I'm in office. Our government has gotten too big in every aspect except the military. We have to have a strong military, so I would leave them alone. But every other department, I would ask for the budget to be reduced by 4% every year The surplus would then be put into the general operating fund to help pay down our nearly $18.5 trillion deficit.
Are there any... go ahead.
I would also eliminate all of the czars that are unelected, unaccountable to the people. We don't need them. And that would free up billions of dollars in money that could be used for things that we actually need.
Are there any functions of government you'd like to increase or anything you think needs added to?
Our military. We are the only remaining superpower on the face of the earth. And we are facing enemies from almost every quarter of the earth. I would want to reinvigorate our military, increase the budget there so that we make sure we have a strong and vibrant Navy. We have a standing Army that's ready to move on a moment's notice, the same thing with the Marine Corps. Make sure that we have the weaponry that we need, the technology that we need. I want to beef our military up so much that only an insane entity or government would dare try to attack us, because once unleashed, they would have hell on earth.
Describe your stance and your approach to taxes and taxation. Our
tax system is so messed up that even the IRS is not fully aware of what it is. We need to throw out the current tax code and bring in, I believe, a flat tax based on a person's income. Everybody will pay at least a little bit. A person, let's say, that makes $25,000 a year or less would pay somewhere in the range of 5%. Someone who makes between $25,000 a year upwards to $250,000 would be at a 10%, and then people who make over that would be graduated up to a maximum of 20%. The corporate tax would be a flat tax as well, somewhere in the 15 to 20% range. We need to bring down our tax rate, eliminate a lot of the loopholes, and make sure that everyone is paying their fair share, and eliminate the loopholes that so many are using to get away with not paying taxes, so that we have what we need to run the government, and with a reduction in the size of government, we should be fine. And make it simple enough that a 10-year-old can read the tax book and fill out his parents' taxes.
Describe your approach, your stance to the abortion, pro-choice issue.
Lee, I'm a born-again believer in the Almighty God. I believe that life begins at conception. I believe that all life be protected and preserved. So I am definitely a pro-life person. I do recognize that there are medical times when a choice has to be made between the mother and the baby. And that's a difficult choice to make. I'm not sure exactly where I go on that. My faith tells me one thing, my common sense tells me another. But for all intents and purposes, I am definitely pro-life.
Okay. What role do you think our military should play in the world?
I'm a firm believer that we don't need to be involved in every conflict around the world. That's part of the problem that we've had in recent years. If we're attacked, yes, we need to attack, but we need to do it the way that our fathers and grandfathers did in World War II. We get in it to win it and get out. I want a strong military capable of being anywhere on the face of the earth within hours, if not days. But I would not use our military quickly. If one of our allies is attacked or if we're attacked, yes, our military will be unleashed. And it will not be a political move. It will be a fighting move. But I think we need to reserve our military for crisis and times of real need, and not just send them all over the world to be the world's police department. That's not our function. We need to protect ourselves and our allies, and leave it at that.
How would you handle immigration and border security?
This is a question that a lot of candidates are having difficulty with, and I don't know why. Simple fact is we have two borders that have to be sealed. So I would ensure that our current laws regarding building a fence are met. I will have a plan to where everyone in this country illegally is given a 90-day period to register. After that 90-day period, if they have failed to register and they are caught, they are immediately deported. And if they are caught in the country again, they go to prison. We have got to seal our borders. We have got to find out who is in our country. The only way we can really do this is get them registered, have them pay a fine, have them pay a fine, go through the normal process of becoming an American citizen and assimilating into our culture. If they will do that, they can stay. If they don't do that, or if they commit a crime during the time period of registration or their application period, we need to get them out of here. They are bleeding our nation dry in our resources, our capital, taking advantage of things, and they're being used as a political pawn by some people to bolster their divisions when they don't even have a right to be here or a right to vote. Illegal means illegal. And if they break the law, they need to pay.
How do you perceive the really difficult issue of race and discrimination in our country?
Every time I hear someone use another nationality and hyphen America, I get angry. I'm not an English American. I'm not a French American. I'm not an African American. I'm not a Texas American. I'm an American. If you were born in this country, you are an American, period. We need to stop putting these labels and hyphens in front of American. That's what's dividing us. We have to bring the pride back. Be proud that you're an American citizen, no matter the color of your skin. We need a president who will step up and he will go to these hotspot places and he will actually go in there and sit down and talk to the leaders and listen to them. Find out what their concerns are, and then go back and meet with Congress and say, look, this is what's going on. Let's come up with a way to help. We need someone who will sit and listen, who will look over everybody's opinion and then make a decision based on that will bring our country back together again and not be so divided over race, creed, whatever. We've got to come together. We are Americans. We are a nation of melting pot people. We need to blend it all together and make it a wonderful stew that everybody can enjoy.
Next question about health care. What role should the federal government play in health care?
I like what Ronald Reagan said about government. Government is not the answer. Government is the problem. We need to get our government out of the healthcare industry. We need to set up clear standards that need to be met by all of our healthcare companies, and then let them do their job. Obamacare is nothing but a mess. And I know this because I have had to deal with Obamacare personally. I've had to deal with Social Security. I've had to deal with disability issues. And the government just needs to get out of it. That needs to be in the hands of private companies who understand health care. The handful of doctors in Congress, they're okay. But you maybe have 6 or 7 members of Congress that are practicing or have been practicing physicians. Everybody else is an amateur. Let the professionals take care of it, people who understand health care. We can create a basic set of regulations and leave it at that and let the private sources take care of America. We were doing fine before Obamacare. Now, things are just so messed up. We've got to get rid of Obamacare and put in a system that allows privatization and allows the doctors to have real control over what's going on with their individual patients so they can get the proper care and not be regulated by some bureaucrat in D.C.
What priority would you give repair of infrastructure, and what role should the federal government have in maintaining infrastructure, roads, bridges, power grid, internet, etc.?
Lee, that's part of the responsibilities outlined in the Constitution for the federal government. That's something we should be doing. Our electric infrastructure is antiquated. Are you familiar with what an EMP is?
Yes.
Electromagnetic pulse.
Yes.
Right now, we are vulnerable. Any rogue nation can go out on the black market and buy a Scud missile for $100,000, load it with 250 pounds of plutonium, send that missile about 350 miles over mid-America and let it explode. No one on the ground will hear it. No one on the ground will probably even see it. Yet that spent plutonium will knock out our power grid. Could be for months, could be for years. No one knows for sure. The federal government needs to immediately start rebuilding our power grid and insulating it against EMP. We need to work on our water systems, our bridges, our highways, and that's the responsibility of the federal government. We've got to rebuild our infrastructure, or this nation is extremely vulnerable to an attack. An attack like that, one missile, one stinking missile, Lee, $100,000 on the black market, another $200,000 in uranium, and it could knock out this country from being able to do anything to protect itself. Our main priority right now has got to be strengthening our military and rebuilding our antiquated infrastructure to where we have secure electric, secure water, secure telephone communications, secure satellite communications, internet, so that in case we are attacked, we have a backup plan and we have at least a fighting chance to keep at least part of our nation's electric grid up so that our leaders in Washington and our state leaders have the capacity to manage in an emergency situation. Infrastructure has got to become priority one or priority two for this country, and quickly.
Some people think there is a conflict of interest between gathering intelligence to fight terror and maintaining personal liberties, rights, and privacy. Do you think there's a conflict, and how do you handle these apparently two competing issues?
Our Constitution is clear on the rights of American citizens. If a branch of the federal government suspects a citizen of wrongdoing, they need to get the appropriate warrant. However, the Constitution does not cover enemy combatants. We need to take the gloves off. If we're dealing with an enemy combatant, they don't enjoy the same rights and privileges of an American citizen. They are an enemy. If we have to use waterboarding to get information, so be it. When you're talking about 350 million lives, and you've got one person who has information that can be gleaned that will save millions of people, go for it. I'm sorry it sounds cruel. I'm sorry it sounds mean. But waterboarding is something that is effective, has been proven effective, and we have gleaned reams of information from enemy combatants that eventually led to us being able to take out Osama bin Laden. We've got to protect the rights of our citizens using the warrant system that's in place, but enemy combatants, no. Those people that are in this nation that have crossed our borders illegally with the intention of bringing us harm, they don't qualify for the same rights and privileges as a citizen. They're an enemy. They're here illegally. And we need to treat them as an enemy combatant, and any information we can glean from them, no matter how we have to do it, short of cruel and unusual, we need to do it.
You mentioned this a little bit already, but what role does faith, religion, spirituality, etc. play in your life, and what type of role would it play for you as president?
Lee, most of our founding fathers, the liberal wing has tried to rewrite history and call them deists and other things. But a lot of people don't realize that George Washington was an underrated. It turned from the inauguration and it went to the church, not far from where Ground Zero is in New York now. And they reconvened there and had a worship service. For nearly 100 years, our nation's capital was used as a place of worship on Sunday. Many of our presidents attended services in the Capitol. The biggest problems this nation has is we've turned away from we need to look at it doesn't say separation of church and state. It simply said that there will not be an establishment of religion, which in our modern English simply means there's not going to be a set religion in this nation. I believe faith plays a huge part with any person in the religion. Look at, faith is extremely important, and as president, I will be praying daily, and I will.
Hello, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, you were cutting off a little bit at the end there. Are there any other issues you would like to discuss?
Let me wrap it up this way. We have had for too long a government that did not listen to the people, did not take the needs of the people into priority places. If I'm fortunate enough to be elected president, I'm going to bring common sense back to the White House. I'm not going to make promises that I know I can't keep by saying I can do this and I can do that. But I do promise this. I will work with the Congress of the United States, Democrat, Republican, Independent, Tea Party, no matter who they are. I will work with them to build this country back to where it needs to be, to make us strong, to restore the pride across the nation, and to put us back into the preeminent role of the world's superpower and leader. I'll do my best to eliminate the threats against this country. And God forbid, if we have to go to war, we're not going to have a prolonged political war like we're having right now. I'll use the military to its full advantage like I did in World War II. We'll go into the situation, take care of the situation, and get out as quickly as possible. As president, I will do my best to be a compassionate leader. And I will lead, not be wishy-washy. And my only goal as president will be to make this nation as good, as great, as wonderful as it possibly can be, and to reduce the size of our government to the point where we don't have an $18.5 trillion budget facing us for our children and our grandchildren to take care of. I would appreciate the support of this nation, and I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to speak.
Thank you for participating in the interview. Have a good day, and thanks to my listeners for listening. Be sure to check back in the future for more interviews. Remember to keep informed and keep involved. Thanks again for the interview.